Exhaust manifold is now free. I'll slide that. Whoa! Woo! Yep, I got scared. You heard that. Hey guys, welcome back to Johnny Boy's Garage. Today we're going to be starting the rebuild of the lower end of the Toyota Corolla engine we tore apart. We've got our flex hone ready. We're going to hone up these cylinders a little bit. We're going to clean up the bottom end and start inserting crank bearings. And we're just going to see how far we get tonight. So I guess the question is, what do I know about using a dingleberry hone? And the answer to that is absolutely nothing. I'll see if I can find the video. From the video I watched, I know you want to get these kind of wet. I also know this honing oil is quite expensive, and it hurts my feelings to see it hit the floor. And I know that this thing's supposed to spin the whole time that you're in the cylinder wall. I shouldn't have done that. So I'm gonna go for cylinder one and see what we do. Oh man, that scared me. I was like, I thought I ruined it. And then I realized it was just the dirt it took off the walls. I mean, it ain't the best, but it ain't bad. Well, let's see how that turned out. Rag and a glove. It's all right. I don't think these are as cracked up as they claim to be. I mean, it is a lot better than it was. It didn't stretch as bad as I thought it did, luckily. She'll seal or she won't when it comes time for that. I mean, definitely not the best job, but I'm definitely okay with it. Because it looks a lot better in there than it once did. So that, I would say, is more than good enough and serviceable for me. So let's roll her over. So now that we cleaned up the cylinder walls, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this mating area. I'm gonna clean the opposite side on the other half of the case. And then we're gonna put our bearings in, drop our crank in, and I need to look up torque specs, but we'll wind up putting this together. Go ahead, set our brand new shiny crank bearings down into place. Got us some pretty new main bearings. We're going to use engine assembly lube on all of this before we set the crank in. I realized I should probably clean this before I put a crankshaft in it. The rest of this I'll probably clean up by hand. I don't want to take too much material off the block and then wind up with an issue where I didn't get enough sealing points or, you know, just general problems. I'll catch you guys when we're lubing up the bearings and dropping the crankshaft in. Go ahead and install our thrust bearings. You should sit right there. Putting on our engine assembly lube. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And we got to drop a little bit of RTV. I'm going to see if this helps it stick a little bit. I just want it to stay in place. Ridges go facing outwards. I'm going to grab the crankshaft real quick. Since this will hold the thrust washers in place, I'm going to set it in place. Yee. Ooh. That's still up in position. Does look like it. And that is in. I'll put engine assembly lube here on the crank main bearings. Oh, I should say the crank journals. Now, this is a brand new crankshaft. Got this whole kit on eBay. It was missing a few things. The seller works with me when I come across something that may be messed up or whatever. But $575 is retail. It comes with new crank, new valves. Like, it's a full rebuild kit, just short of camshafts. With that, we got this all lubed up. We're gonna go drop RTV on the cap for this, and I'll get right back with you guys. So if you're installing a new crankshaft, this is how you have to set up the RTV on this main cap, is what I'm gonna call it. And it says you want a 2 to 3 millimeter bead all the way around. So I am going to do my best. I like how a hint, it says avoid adding excessive amounts to the surface. So this goes out to the tail end, to the inside, again to the inside, down and around the corner. Whew. My wrist already hurts. It looks like you want to go in this little ledge. Go to the inside, well, outside of this one. Around, and out the front. Makes me feel like I'm a pastry chef or something. I really don't want this thing to leak. So that RTV is done. I'm gonna flop the camera over to the other side, and we will set this down. We're gonna real carefully bring her down into place. There she goes. I saw a little bit less tarnish in a spot, and I was like, don't tell me there was a hole in this. I was about to get sad. Start all of these by hand. Now we need torque specs for all of these bolts. If we get this last one in the hole, I'd be doing wonderful. There we go. So these outer ones go to 18.5. I am going to set the crank first. See if this Harbor Freight torque wrench earns its weight today. Just so that we're clear, I have never rebuilt an engine in my life. I've done some pretty decent engine work, but I've never done anything like this. This is gonna be my friend right now. Helps if I use the right side. This side is odd, this side is even. To make my life a little bit easier. And yes, this is a Pittsburgh torque wrench. Step 2 is 32 foot-pounds, so we're doubling up. Alright, that's the first set. Well, come to find out, I was supposed to do that after I did the 45. To mark the front of each one with paint. I can do that. And to check that they are 90 degrees from the front when we're done. So you do 45 and then 45, which I think is a little strange, but I'm not an engineer, so I'm just gonna leave it be. So let's shoot for 45. So one more time, a 45. So you can see they're all turned 90 degrees. I'm going to retorque and make sure those are all 18.5. So we're going to spin the crankshaft, make sure there's no crunchy. Oh, that's buttery smooth. Cool, that's awesome. So this is going to be the orientation that you want your piston rings in when you're setting these in. With that, let's go ahead and get to getting these pistons installed. See if we can tap it down here. Piston is in. Numero uno. So we didn't put it in backwards, which is always a nice plus. It helps a lot in life. So it says to apply a light coat to the threads and a light coat underneath the head to prevent binding. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. We're going to set number 4. Then we'll do both 90 degrees at the same time. In like this. Coat of oil on the threads. Tappy. And then we're going to do a 180 with the motor. Cylinders 1 and 4 will come up. We will do cylinders 2 and 3. And then we will wind up rotating it 2 more times just to make sure everything is set correctly to torque. Okay, 15. Okay. 15 and 15. Rotate this. 180. down in there. Should be numbers matching to that one. 92, 92. Send her down. Go ahead and do our 15 foot-pounds. Just snugging these up before I start putting them down. These rod cap bolts, after torque to 15 foot-pounds, you do an additional 90 degrees. Looks pretty good for 90 to me. I don't necessarily trust this all the time because that went 90 and it said 70 degrees. And that's 90 and it said 79 degrees. So the way it's squeaking, I think, is causing the bolt to jump at times. So it's not calculating all of the degrees. So the camera keeps dying because it's really hot up in here. So we did get the pistons in. We're going to go ahead and put this bypass pipe on, get our thermostat on, start putting the little things together. I don't know how high this is going to reach. Okay, that should be out of the way of the head. Helps if I get it through the hole, I guess. Leave that loose for right now, so this thing can adjust itself. Tight. 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 Put a brand new thermostat up in here. You always want this little vent to sit to the top. Get a deep well tin. Seal that up. Tight. Take this pigtail off of this thing. And go ahead and put our oil pump on. Gaskets in. Crank driven oil pump. Get all these started. And then I'll check out the torque specs. I probably should have cleaned up underneath of that first, but we have committed. That just feels so loose to me. I did double check, and it says 80 inch-pounds, so I'm just gonna double check all these again, make sure they're all 80. 80 inch-pounds. So I did buy an oil pan gasket for this, since the rebuild kit showed one and it didn't come with one, and I haven't heard back from the company. So I have an oil pan gasket for this, but I don't know if I'm gonna use it because it is a cork gasket. And I'm not the biggest fan of cork gaskets. So I located our pickup tube, put the bolt in here, started our two nuts. These are also 80 inch-pounds. I just feel like that ain't tight enough, but that's what the manufacturer says, so that's what I'll do. Pounds. So we're going to torque this down to 21 foot-pounds, like the book calls for, now that I can actually lock into that thing. 21. So that's good. We can now put an oil filter on it if we had one. I'm going to cover this up. I've already covered up most of this. What I'm going to do is clean this side, then I'll move these rags to the front and we'll clean the front side. So I'm gonna get a rag, cover that up, and we'll get to work on cleaning this thing. Nothing quite like the smell of burning RTV in the morning. That side's cleaned up. Go ahead, tuck this up in here. Honestly, I don't think it's too big of a deal, but try to keep stuff out of this engine if we can. I would like it to run instead of fail. While I do this, I ain't putting a whole bunch of pressure down on it. I'm just letting the razor blade do what it wants to do, because I prefer not to scratch the surface. I did opt out of the oil pan gasket. We got her nice and RTV'd. Go ahead, set her in place. Start sinking some bolts. Did you know these are also 80 inch-pounds, just like it seems like everything on this motor is? So we're going to let the RTV cure a little bit. I just want to get all these bolts started and run the bolts down to the pan. We're not going to apply any kind of torque load on them for about 15 minutes to a half an hour. Alrighty. Pretends, how nice. Let this set up for a couple of minutes, and I'll catch you guys when it's time to torque it down. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and torque them down. And when I am done a torque sequence, you like to go back and make sure none's settled and they're all still to torque. Alrighty, she is set. So with the oil pan on, we've gotten as far as we can on the lower end without redoing the head. So next week we're going to start on rebuilding the head. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next week.